Wild boars, creatures once thought to lurk only in deep forests, have become a true nightmare for rural communities. They rampage through fields, destroying crops, attacking livestock, and even targeting humans. Faced with this growing threat, farmers and hunters are forced to take action to protect their livelihoods. How have they confronted these ferocious beasts? Join us on a thrilling and suspenseful journey to hunt wild boars in today's video. Join us at the snowy hills of Montana, USA, in the depths of winter, where wild boars relentlessly churn the frozen ground, wreaking havoc on ecosystems and crops. We've come fully equipped with firearms, cold weather gear, thermal binoculars, and all necessary tools. The hunt in the frigid wilderness officially begins. Tracking footprints etched in the thick snow for an hour, we suddenly heard a strange noise ahead. All of a sudden, a dark shadow shot out from the bushes like an arrow slicing through the air. Immediately, I raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out clean and decisive. The beast collapsed, tumbling a few times on the snowy ground before lying still. It seems my gunshot startled the other prey nearby. From a distance, another wild boar emerged. Swiftly pulling the trigger, the bullet struck its head, leaving the beast no chance to escape. The winter battlefield ended with victory for the steely hunters. Now, join me for another hunting adventure in the scorching summer of the American South, where the blistering heat drives wild boars to gather around fields and water sources. Firearms, binoculars, and tracking gear are ready. A new battleground, a new hunt begins now. Trekking along the hillside at dawn, we swiftly set out to hunt the ferocious beasts in the area. Suddenly, a rustling sound nearby signaled something approaching. A dark shadow burst from the thicket. I immediately drew my rifle, aiming straight at the target. The gunshot rang out decisively. The beast collapsed instantly, completely subdued by the hunter's barrel. The hunting dogs were unleashed, swiftly picking up the scent and driving the prey toward us. Moments later, from the edge of the hill, a massive beast suddenly charged forward. Unfazed, I raised my rifle, locking onto the target. The gunshot echoed through the still air, and in an instant the beast collapsed onto the parched ground, unable to resist. A few minutes later, another wild boar was struggling to climb up the rocky cliff. I raised my rifle, squinted to align the shot, and pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bullet whistled through the air, striking the target dead on. The beast lurched violently, then staggered, sliding down the hillside. far away, a teammate of mine was swiftly shouldering his rifle. Eyes locked on a target sprinting wildly across the hills. The prey tried to accelerate, but mere seconds later, a sharp crack echoed. All movement ceased. IT collapsed without time to react. Today's journey concludes with breathless pursuits through untamed wilderness, where neither the harsh winter nor the blazing summer could halt the hunter's steps. All actions were carried out in strict accordance with legal regulations in designated hunting areas in the USA. Having been a hunter for many years, I've experienced quite a few thrilling chases. But stepping foot in Louisiana for the first time, everything still made me restless and excited like a rookie. The air here was thick with the smell of damp earth, dry leaves rustling beneath my feet, and wild sounds occasionally echoing from afar. I knew I was about to enter a hunt unlike any I'd experienced before. We had carefully planned the hunt for several days, and now it was time to officially begin. First, the whole team took advantage of early morning to check the bait traps. In Louisiana, hunting laws are very strict, especially regarding mechanical traps that can injure animals. Therefore, bait traps are still widely used and considered more legal. Look over there, a herd of wild boars, busily rooting around the trap. My heart rate spiked. I raised my gun, aimed at the boar standing closest to the edge for the best shot, then squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out, and the boar collapsed instantly. The rest scattered in panic. It was a bit disappointing to take down only one, but such a start wasn't bad at all. Leaving the trap area, I happened to come across a deep waterhole with a few wild boars lingering nearby. Though not very large in size, each one looked plump and healthy, enough to stir the hunter's blood in me. However, these creatures were incredibly sensitive and alert. Even the slightest noise would set them off, and they'd scatter before I had any chance to take aim. In the end, I decided to climb up a high hunting stand to lie in wait. One wild boar slowly approached the stand, unaware of the danger ahead. This was my chance. I quickly raised my gun and fired, but the shot missed, and the lucky boar managed to escape. A gentle start like that was enough. I climbed down from the stand and began to carry my rifle deeper into the forest, searching for traces of other boars. It didn't take long before the next target appeared. Today was truly a lucky day for me. I kept running into one group after another. This time, I couldn't rush it. I quietly raised my gun, held my breath, focused my eyes for a perfect aim, and pulled the trigger. A single clean shot, the boar crashed down hard, lying stiff on the forest floor. By the afternoon, the whole team decided to change tactics. We drove an airboat to hunt wild boars out in the fields. I sat on the deck of the boat, clutching my gun tightly and scanning every nook and cranny. There it was, a boar appeared on the right without any signal. My friend Ash immediately steered in that direction, waiting until the boat ran parallel to the prey. With a perfect aim, I didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. The shot didn't instantly take down the boar, but it wounded it badly enough that it jumped up, then lay thrashing until it was exhausted. Just look at its size, clearly a formidable pest. Luckily, today we managed to take it down. Driving an airboat to hunt wild boars in the fields is definitely an experience you must try in Louisiana. Unlike the tension in every step through the forest, the vast open fields become a playground of speed and reflexes. The roaring engine and the sound of digging into the ground easily alert the boars and make them flee, so there's no room for hesitation. As soon as the prey shows up, we have to aim quickly and squeeze the trigger in a split second. One missed shot and the boars will slip into the tall grass and disappear immediately. Ash steered the airboat to another, less dense area. The hunters in the team split up, each watching a different direction. 15 minutes passed in silence when suddenly Harry stood up and pointed forward. A small wild boar was glimpsed in the distance. A burst of gunfire rang out. The target was completely taken down. So another boar's carcass was loaded onto the boat. The hunt ended with results beyond expectations. Although the whole team was exhausted, everyone was filled with excitement. Louisiana did not disappoint. Wild boars, the experience, and the feeling of satisfaction after each successful shot are truly hard to describe in words. How do you feel about today's hunt? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow more thrilling hunts. I had the opportunity to visit my aunt's home in the Baden-Württemberg region of southwestern Germany, where the vast Schwarzwald mountains stretch to the horizon. My trip was not simply a tourist trip, but to hunt wild boar. This invasive species has been growing stronger and stronger, attacking farmers' farms, including my aunt's farm, which has suffered heavy damage. My cousin Wilhelm took me to the gathering place in the village, where I got to know other experienced hunters. The hunt was divided into groups. I kept watch at predetermined positions a few hundred meters away from Wilhelm, waiting for the wild boar to appear or be chased away by the hounds. After about 10 minutes of waiting, I could clearly hear the wild boar squealing in the bushes. My heart started pounding. Even though I had been through dozens of hunts, the moment of waiting always made me nervous. Every hunt was different, because nothing was repeated. The bushes shook as something started to rush out. It was a giant wild boar. It charged straight at me, and without thinking, I shot instinctively. The wild boar was instantly killed. After shooting down the wild boar, we didn't have time to celebrate. Another wild boar suddenly appeared, charging towards me. I quickly fired. The wild boar fell down before it could attack us. After a few minutes, everything was quiet again. The smell of gunpowder mixed with the air of the mountains and forests created a strange aroma. It was passionate, lively, and very wild. At around 10 o'clock, when the sun was shining everywhere, I had just rested when Wilhelm's voice rang out over the radio. There is a very large wild boar coming towards you. Be prepared. I quickly stood up, gripping my gun and waiting. Another huge wild boar appeared. It ran past me without realizing the danger was approaching. From a perfect position, I raised my gun and shot it down. The gunshot tore through the still air. The wild boar was destroyed in a split second. Around noon, we moved to a stream to rest. Wilhelm also said that wild boars needed water. They would move a lot to this area. Indeed, it did not take long for a wild boar to charge in, and like the previous ones, it could not escape its fate of being destroyed. The mountainous area here is very large. It is also home to wild boars. The wild boars that appear are all very large in size, perhaps because they are rarely hunted and have abundant food sources, so they grow very quickly. Furthermore, many wild boars in this area seem to have no fear of humans. Perhaps because hunting activities in this area are limited and there are few large-scale hunting organizations, they are not afraid of hunters. However, to ensure safety, Wilhelm still told me, do not shoot when you cannot see the target clearly. Do not shoot in the opposite direction of the encirclement. And remember, we are here to protect the forest, not to kill indiscriminately. So, when faced with wild boars that intend to attack, I remain calm and shoot when I am sure of hitting the target. This is true every time I hunt, because it brings down the wild boar quickly and painlessly. It also shows respect for nature. In the late afternoon, we moved north, where there were deep ravines with many wild boars. The terrain was rougher here, and the trees were taller, obstructing our vision, so we had to carefully watch for any traces of wild boars. When they appeared, we worked together to kill them one by one. For us, hunting is not simply a sport or a personal challenge. It is my way of preserving the balance of the forest, an ecosystem that I love like family. Every shot is considered not only for accuracy, but also for ethics and responsibility. Maybe tomorrow I will go back to the forest, maybe in a few weeks, but I know one thing for sure. Every time I do, I will not only be a hunter, but also a guardian of the life of this beloved mountain forest. Finally, before the hunting trip ended, we collected all the spoils. Everything was marked, recorded, and checked for health before being brought back to the village for processing. The journey is over. Please like and subscribe to watch more of our videos.
Wild boars, when their population grows uncontrollably, the boundary between nature and humans starts to blur. Devastated fields, ruined gardens, and even livestock no longer safe in their pens. In many areas, wild boars are no longer mere prey but have become invasive threats. That's exactly why we are here in these fields tonight. Hunting wild boars is not just a thrilling activity or an age-old tradition for seasoned hunters. It is a crucial measure for controlling their population. We set out at 10 p.m. The faint moonlight was barely enough to illuminate our path. Our team split into two groups, moving along the forest edge, where fresh traces of wild boars were still visible. Stopping near an open clearing, the rustling in the bushes signaled something approaching. As the thermal scope scanned the area, a herd of about 10 wild boars appeared. Without hesitation, the hunting rifles fired simultaneously. The first round hit its mark. Two boars dropped instantly. Two others attempted to flee, but couldn't escape their fate. About 30 minutes later, another group of wild boars emerged. Moving slowly, they were completely unaware of the lurking danger. We stealthily approached, and once in range, the signal was given. Gunfire shattered the silence. The boars panicked and scattered. Focusing on those that had strayed from the group, we seized the opportunity. After taking them down, we swiftly tracked the ones that had fled. With thermal imaging scopes, there was no hiding. Even the thickest bushes couldn't conceal them. A dangerous hunt, but this was only the beginning. We moved toward a rice field, an area where wild boars frequently scavenged for leftover grains. As the herd emerged, we had only seconds to react. Gunshots rang out. The first boar collapsed instantly. But there was no time to pause. The rest were bolting for safety. Dark silhouettes dashed through the scope. Another precise shot. One shot, one kill. Within moments, our prize lay motionless before us. Wild boars gathered here in large numbers, making it easy to locate them. From our hiding position, we aimed our rifles, waiting for the perfect moment. At the right time, we unleashed a hail of bullets, striking critical points with precision. The alpha boar fell, sending the rest into a frenzy. But before they could scatter, another round of fire ensured 3 to 4 more were taken down. We continued our ambush, taking down several more in swift, decisive attacks. This was undoubtedly one of the most exhilarating night hunts we had ever experienced. Minutes later, another wild boar herd appeared, cautiously moving closer. When they were in range, the team opened fire. 4 went down instantly, and though the others tried to escape, they were swiftly taken down as well. As the night deepened, more wild boars emerged. We fought relentlessly, determined not to let a single target escape. In less than a minute, 5 wild boars had fallen. By now, it was nearly 4 a.m., and the final encounter took place in an open field near a residential area. A large herd of wild boars was foraging. If left unchecked, the consequences could be disastrous. Wasting no time, we sprang into action, taking down our targets. The remaining boars realized the danger and scattered in panic. But in wild, survival favors the swift. One boar was struck down just as it tried to change direction. Finally, as the dust settled, the night returned to its eerie silence. We examined our haul. This had been a flawless hunt, swift, efficient, and incredibly successful.